What's up, Ravens fans? There's lots of questions right now as the Ravens are in full off-season mode. Lots of things coming up: Pro Bowl, Combine, free agency, draft.
It's going to get busy here real soon.
It's going to be very busy. So we'll start this week's edition of the Mailbag with a question from Henry. And Henry wants to know, do the Ravens need to franchise tag Cj Mosley, or do they attack middle linebacker through the draft?
How about option C, and that's re-sign Cj
Right.
Mosley to a long-term deal? I do not expect the Ravens to franchise Cj. Obviously, he would be the only candidate that I think you would consider that. But here's the key thing here, right? So franchising a player means they get the average of the top 5 salaries at their position. That might not be that bad at inside linebacker, considering those guys usually don't get a huge contract. But here's the catch, okay? Inside linebackers are grouped in with all linebackers, and that means all the pass rushers too, who get big money deals. So it would cost $15 million, more than $15 million, to franchise Cj Mosley, which would make him the highest paid inside linebacker by a pretty healthy margin. If you get a long-term contract extension with him, you probably get that at a little bit of a discount. And Cj's really not a guy who I'm like, I need to see one more year of production. I mean, Cj's done it every single year he's been here, all 5 years. He's gone to the Pro Bowl 4 of those years. You know what you're getting in Cj Mosley. He's the most consistent player the Ravens have had on defense for the past several years. So I expect the Ravens to put all efforts in on a long-term extension.
I agree, and if you're wondering, kind of as a frame of reference, Luke Kuechly, who has the richest inside linebacker deal, he makes an average of about $12.5 million a year. So going to 15 on the franchise tag doesn't seem like the most likely scenario. All right, this question comes to us from Ryan Banbury, and the question here is, now that we've had a full season in the books, how would you regrade Ozzie Newsome's last draft class as our general manager? Well, I think you start with the big one, and that's the quarterback. Lamar Jackson, who the Ravens got with the last pick in the first round. The Ravens believe that he's going to be the quarterback of the future. And if you can find a quarterback of the future, a franchise guy, at any point in the draft, that's a great draft. That's an A. And then you kind of move on down the line. You look at Mark Andrews. He was a tight end that was really impressive. I think you have to be very impressed with him. Then you look at Orlando Brown, who started 10 games at right tackle. He could be a right tackle. He could be a left tackle. And I think you have to be incredibly impressed with him. Kenny Young, another inside linebacker. We were just talking about inside linebackers. He's done everything right that the Ravens could expect, and I think that he has a very bright future. Now, a question I think is at the top. The first pick, obviously, was Hayden Hearst. Didn't have a great rookie season. Got off to a slow start because of the foot injury. I wouldn't shut the door on him being a successful player, though. I thought he came on stronger at the end of the year. I think that the injury held him back probably a little bit more than he admitted, especially when he first came back into the lineup. So, to me, you know, the Ravens said it at the time that they thought this could be kind of a transcendent, franchise-altering type draft. And by all early indications, I think that's the case.
So what's your grade? You didn't give a grade.
I'm going to give it an A. I'll give it an A.
Not an A+.
I'll give it an A. The A+, the plus will reserve for depending how some of these other things work out.
Next question comes from @thebeastmws. I wonder, what's MWS? Who's the Beast?
I don't know.
All right, the question is, so where will we draft players from now that Eric DeCosta has taken over? What's his favorite school? Well, I don't think there's going to be a lot of prospects from Colby College entering the NFL draft, so I don't think that trend is going to continue like Ozzie in Alabama. Obviously, that's a joke here. But I wouldn't be surprised if it stayed with Alabama. You know, Ozzie Newsome's still in the building. Let's not forget that. And he might be saying to Eric, hey, you watch this Alabama. Let me give you this game tape here, Eric. So, yeah, the Ravens haven't been a team that have drafted all from one school or one conference. Now, obviously, Alabama's got a little bit of the shade, but I don't think that they're going to sway too heavily in one direction.
I mean, let's be honest. Drafting guys from Alabama is not a bad strategy. You get Cj Mosley, you get Marlon Humphrey. There's a lot of good players. There's a reason that those guys are in the national championship just about every single year.
Yeah, no joke. And I think there's some good Alabama players this year's class too. Keep an eye on them.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about between now and April's draft. So that does it for this week's edition of the Ravens Mailbag. But as always, send in those questions every single week using the hashtag Ravens Mailbag. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.